Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. I'm going to start off today with a confession. I don't like to work that much. I know, it's a little strange. You don't hear that very often from people, but I prefer to do other things, hobbies. One of my biggest hobbies I have is video games. Some of you may know this about me, some of you may not, but I actually consider myself addicted sometimes to video games. I really like them, I enjoy them. I pass this tradition off to my kids, with careful planning and time and things like that. But one of the things I like to do with my life is analogize how video games and my life are very parallel to each other, and how something in a video game can represent what I do in real life. For example, in video games there's this idea of a class. Without going into too much detail, a class is an archetype. It's not really unlike a profession in your real life. For example, my class or my profession would be a web developer, a computer scientist, engineer, whatever you want to archetype those together as, that's what I am. In a video game, your class is the same thing. You choose what your class is. I chose to be a computer scientist. I also choose to be a warrior in video games, right? So what's a warrior? Again, an archetype. Warriors are strong, very stalwart, very courageous. My first career choice, my first profession, my first class was as a warrior. I joined the military when I was 18 years old. I spent 4 years in the United States Army, Airborne Infantry out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I don't regret my time. I wish I had spent it better. But I learned a lot in the military. One of the things I always tell people is how I got into the military. My father was in the military for 23 years. He was Special Forces. That's the sole reason I got in. It's family tradition. But also, the reason I got out of the military was my father. I don't say this very often, but I looked at what my father's career did to my family, to my mom and my siblings and stuff. It was really hard to grow up with a father that was gone 9 months out of the year. And I decided that early on, before I even started the family, when we first started having conversations about it, that I didn't want to do that. So it was time for me to change my class, my profession. So going from a warrior to something different took a lot of thought. Took me a lot of thought. I was scared, I was nervous, but I decided to switch to a mage. So, I know there might not be a lot of video game players in here. Mages are intellectual, they're studious, they're very, very wise. And I decided, hey, I'm young, I want to be a mage in my real life, this sounds fun. I wanted to be something with my mind instead of my body. So I switched from that warrior mentality to more of a mage. And I decided to go to school for computer science. I went down the road to Carl Technical University. I loved it. Actually, I would go back again if I could. I decided over CTU, over Colorado State University, mostly because they're general classes. I know that sounds weird, but a lot of the general classes at CTU were computer-related, networking, engineering, things like that. A lot of the ones at Colorado State University were a little more too general for me. So I decided to go with CTU. So why do I bring up these classes? Why do I bring up classes? Well, again, I analogize things with things I understand. I like video games, and I like the way they represent my real life. I bring this up today because I'm actually ready right now, probably within the next 6 months, to change my class again. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I love programming. It's something I've been doing for about 10 years now, maybe 8 now. But I actually really enjoy it. I'll probably still do it for the rest of my life, but I'm thinking about becoming another class, another profession, a healer. So, healers in the archetype of video games are very, very altruistic, that's kind of me, very, very protective, and they're caregivers. My wife right now is a nurse. I consider her a healer. She's a caregiver. I want to switch to something else, and right now I am honestly thinking about a priest, a healer, a career choice to become a project manager instead of a developer. The reason why I want to go that way is I like the leadership opportunities it represents. I think of myself as a natural leader, again, with the military, things like that. I want to move towards a profession that allows me to really integrate my leadership skills. And right now, being a website developer just isn't that. So it's scary. Like I said, I mentioned I got out of the military and switched professions from a warrior to a mage, and I'm about to do it again. But what I learned 10 years ago, but as nervous as I was about leaving the military, I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I did it 10 years later that I left the military. So anyone here, young, old, maybe starting a profession, been in the profession for a while, it is really not that late to change your class if you're interested in it.